Welcome to Mike Brown Barbecue. Today we're going to take a pork butt and smoke it like a brisket on my 250-gallon offset smoker. Stay tuned. Alright guys, it's time to start a fire for our pork butt smoked like a brisket. So I'm going to start with some lump charcoal. Then I was digging through my wood pile and I've got a bunch of ugly wood that needs to get burnt. So that's what I'm going to burn down from my coal bed. Instead of burning good pieces, I'll burn these drier pieces that need to be burnt. It's nothing special, just real ugly, dry wood that needs to be burnt, and I just singe the hair on my arms. It's great. And we'll take these really dry, thin pieces right here, stick them up on top, and really get it going. And that will be the start of our coal base. Alright folks, so we'll let that burn down and let's go season our meat. Stay tuned. Alright folks, so what we're going to do today for this cook is we're going to take this pork butt and smoke it and slice it like a brisket. This is a roughly 8-pound pork butt from my local HEB. Pork butt, pork shoulder, whatever you want to call it, but we'll get this thing opened up. It's got you can see it's got some scars in it from the butcher. But you get that on these cheaper cuts of meat. Just anything that's hanging off like that, it's gonna burn in this long cook. Want to make sure everything's nice and rounded off. I'm not going to mess with this side too much. It'll be down because we're going to smoke fat cap up. What we do is come up over here, kind of just round everything off. You ain't got to do too much trimming on the pork butt. Make sure everything's aerodynamic. Not a whole lot of trimming involved. Just a little bit here and there. And then we'll look at this fat cap right here, and I'm going to trim some of that off too. Ah, dang it. Got too deep right there. It happens. Just like your brisket, you want to take your fat cap, trim it up nicely so it renders. Pro tip, put this stuff in the freezer before you trim it. It'll be a lot easier than me, what I'm doing right now, because I'm fighting it. Let it sit out here too long. Getting the camera equipment ready. If you do scalp your fat cap on anything, make you a little ridge right there where everything can drain off and it won't mess your bark up by pulling up in that spot where it's bald. I think I am going to call that good right there. You can't really shape up a pork butt too deadgum much. You got a bone right back there, so that's probably about as good as it's gonna get. So we'll flip it over to this side right here. Get your clean hand. You don't want to gunk and stuff all over your seasoning bottles. I don't, especially with pork. You can see the back side of this pork butt is ugly. So we'll hit it with some black pepper. Good old 16 mesh. Y'all know what I use. I use that the Diaz Butcher Block. That's a very robust pepper. It's got kick to it. It's damn near on the verge of like fresh ground pepper. It's very robust. Alright, next we hit it with our kosher salt. Generous coat. It's a big thick piece of meat. You really don't have to worry about over salting it too much. Did y'all notice I don't hardly use binders? I don't believe in them. If that meat's wet, it'll stick. Sometimes you can just hit it with a daggum water bottle too. So let's go on with our Bondler's Fiesta seasonal salt. Generous coat of that. Everybody raises heck about Lowry's, but I'm telling you, this stuff is a little bit higher. But if you get the chance to try that Bondler's Fiesta seasonal, I highly encourage it. It is very, very good. Alright, so we got our bottom side seasoned up. Flip over to the presentation side. Start out with our 16 mesh black pepper. Generous coat, especially on this side right here. This is where all of our bark is going to be at. And we'll come back with our kosher salt. Just a somewhat decent layer of that. You don't need too much. Give it a pat in. And we'll come back with our seasonal salt, Bondler's Fiesta. Give that a good pat in there. And we'll give that a little while for it to soak in. Make sure you do your sides, folks. Like Chud always says, don't forget the sides. Alright, so I'm going to let this sit right here and sweat out for about 30 minutes, and then we will throw it on the smoker here shortly. Stay tuned. Alright, folks, so our pork butt's been sitting there with the seasoning on it, soaking in for the last 30 minutes. It's time to throw this sucker on. That's what she's looking like right there. Good looking pork butt, nice color. So I'm going to stick this pork butt on right here. That bone side facing the fire for right now. We'll rotate it. We'll let it smoke right there for about 3 hours, and then we'll rotate it around the other way because pork butt's already kind of an even piece of meat, but this bone side right here will take a little longer to cook than this side with the money muscle right there. So that's why I'm going to start it out right there. But we will rotate it throughout the cook and baby this thing like a brisket. What we're going to do next is put our dense logs on to get optimum slope flavor in this meat up front. Been a YouTube craze about that here lately, but I've always done that. I guess us Texans got it in our blood, know how to do it. But anyway, I'll bring y'all back here in a little bit. Stay tuned. Alright, folks, as you can see, everything is burnt down. Still got a little bit of the channel logs left. We'll bury them down in the coals, just like that. Break everything up. Throw these coals up on the sides. And we're going to take this coal bed and scoot it up. You want to start your fire far away from your meat, especially when you're going on up front. So nothing special. Y'all watched previous videos, good dense red oak logs are going on. Got some bark on them, which is good. And we'll put a little bit smaller log up on top for our top logs on top of our channel logs. As you can see, that's wanting to take right off. I like that spacing right there. The coal bed is ripping hot. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna shut that down, let it do its thing. Next time y'all see the pork butt, will be in about 3 to 4 hours. When we manage this fire, whichever comes first. Alright guys, I wanted to bring y'all in and show y'all this. This is how much my firebox store cracked open, roughly about an inch. You can hear the green wood in there popping. But if you could take you a look in there, it's a low chill fire, slow and slow. So we'll close that back down about right there, and you'll see what kind of smoke is coming out of there right now. Everybody considers that dirty smoke. Mad Scientist Barbecue and a lot of those guys here lately have been claiming they've been doing it wrong and all that. But I've been doing this for better 8 years, running my fires like this. That's just something I learned by trial and error. It'll be like that for about maybe an hour, and then as the fire burns down, the greener wood dries out. It'll lighten up to that blue smoke everybody raves about. But up front, you'll put that good smoke flavor on your meat. And we'll come over here and look at the temp gauge. I'm rocking just a hair above 275 and rising. It'll rise up a little bit, probably about 290, and then it'll settle down, come down, and come right back in. You see that smoke that's coming out of there? That's the good smoke that you want. It's gonna put the flavor on your meat. I just wanted to bring y'all in and show y'all that. Stay tuned. All right, folks, another little something I wanted to try for this cook. I had a little bit of that fat cap trimmed off, and really ain't enough to do nothing with. I wanted to try it out and throw a little bit on the fire. Throw a little bit on the fire and close it down. See what kind of flavor dynamic it gets it. I've seen guys throw brisket fat on the fire, so let's see what pork fat does with it. Just wanted to let y'all know I was doing that on this cook. Stay tuned. Alright guys, it's time to manage this fire. We got 2 hours out of that burn setup. I put this on at 5 o'clock in the evening, and it is roughly 6:55, so a little under 2 hours of burn time out of that. You can see everything's about gone. Alright, now we got this big old nice red hot coal bed once again. We'll go on with some dense logs. Here we got 2 dense logs. Put one right there. We'll put one right there, spaced out away from each other to get a slow burn. And then we'll go on with 2 more, slightly skinnier dense logs. Just like that. What I want to do is throw the rest of that pork fat I got left on there, throw it right there on top. You can hear it sizzling in there. But we'll close that down and let it do its thing. Here in about 2 hours, we'll check that pork butt out, see how it's looking. All right, guys, stay tuned. We're on the 4-hour mark of this cook. It's time to check and see what she looks like. You can see the bark is set. Everything's looking real nice. Nothing's burning. It's looking like it's supposed to be. Let me get you a close-up of it here. Fat cap starting to split, which is an indicator that it won't be long. It will be ready to wrap. Fat is rendering up on top, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this with the bone facing toward the fire and let that side catch some of that heat. Bone facing toward the fire. So we'll come back and check this in about 2 hours and see where we're at on internal temp. We don't want to bring this to 200 like a brisket, since I'm going to rest it overnight and we're going to slice it. The pork butt's not quite the same. If you bring it to 200, it'll be shredded apart. So we want it to have a little bit of give. So we'll check it for internal temp here in about 2 hours and see if we're at that 180, 185 is about where I want this to be at for slicing purposes. So I'll bring you guys back here in a little bit. Stay tuned. Alright guys, we're roughly about 4.5 hours in. Got a pretty good feeling it's time to manage this fire. And everything's about burnt down. So we'll smash down our coals. Move this coal bed up. This one log right here is not quite gone, but we'll smash him in. Bury him down in the coals. And we'll go on with our next wood. At this point in the fire, we've done took in all the smoke we're going to take in. We'll start going with a little bit drier splits. Nothing special about them, just putting them on. And just like that, our fire is managed. I'll get about another 2 hours of burn time out of this. So you'll probably see me wrap that pork butt up before you see me manage the fire. Now stay tuned. Guys, it's time to check the internal temp on our pork butt. See where we're at. You can see we've got real good bark build up. Everything's looking nice. Let's check it in the thickest part of the pork butt, which will be, we're sitting at 158, 157 on internal temp. So it's still got a little ways to go. We're 5 hours in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate this. We'll let that side catch some heat right there. I'll bring you guys right back. Stay tuned. Alright folks, so we got our pork butt right here. And as you can see, looking real nice. I kind of ripped the end of it right here a little bit, taking it off the pit, but that's alright. So I'm going to take and turn this long ways to wrap it up, save on some butcher paper. Fold it over just like this. Get this edge folded over right here. Tuck it in like that, wrap it up nice and tight. We're sitting at an internal temp of about 175. I didn't temp it and show you, but that's where we're at. Get it nice and tight just like that. We'll go over once. Fold this in just a little bit. Tuck all your corners in nice and tight. We'll go over twice. Scrunch it all up. And now our pork butt is wrapped up. We'll let this go for probably about another hour, and then we'll pull it at 185, 180 and let it rest in the oven overnight. Next time you see this is when we pull it off the pit and check for the final internal temp. Alright guys, so we're roughly about 7 hours in. It's time to check this pork butt out, see how we're doing. I did bump the temp up to 325 when I wrapped, kind of speed things up a little bit. So let's see what we got. So we are at 179, 178. I'm going to go ahead and call that good. We're going to go ahead and pull it off. It's going to carry over a little bit longer. Go ahead and pull it off and rest it in the oven overnight. Stay tuned. Alright guys, here's our finished product on our pork butt smoked like a brisket. All in all, it's got that jiggle. Let's get this thing sliced up. Alright folks, here we go. Here's the moment of truth to see how we did on this. Start slicing this up. That's what it's looking like right there. It's not gonna lie, it's slightly overcooked. It holds up under its own weight though. It pulls apart easy. May have carried over just a little bit too much. Look at all that juice in there. Juicy. Our money muscle's got a different grain on it, so when I went to slice it, it was with the grain, so it just fell apart. But let's give it a try. Oh man, that's pretty damn good. That is very good. I think next time though, I'll pull it a lot earlier than what I did, so it doesn't overcook. Everything's rendered down nicely and it's got a nice smoke ring. Like I said, it holds up under its own weight. It's holding up under its own weight. Now it's falling apart. But all in all, still a very good product. I think next time though, I'll pull this about 175. Wait until 185 pull it was too long. For the overnight rest, it's slightly overcooked. But still very good eating. Just pulls apart. Look at that. Just look at it. So beautiful. All in all, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pork butt. It's supposed to be sliced like a brisket. I wouldn't consider it a fail because it's still good eating. But if you're going to do this at home, I suggest if you're going to do an overnight rest, I suggest you pull this at 175 and not wait so long. Yep, guys, there you go. Pork butt smoked like a brisket. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.